Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and most importantly, happy SEL Day 2026 to all of our folks in the audience to hear today. I am David Adams, Chief Executive Officer, and this is our official SEL Day 2026 kickoff celebration. I'm joined here with some wonderful folks from across the world. I have got 5 panelists who are going to come to talk about what SEL means to them. And let's go through and introduce ourselves to the folks in the audience. I'm going to start to my left, Elizabeth Clay Roy. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here for SEL Day celebration.
Thank you so much, David. My name is Elizabeth Clay Roy, and I have the honor of being the CEO of Generation Citizen. Generation Citizen is a national, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that partners with school districts across the United States to engage young people in something we call community-based civics. Basically, we believe that the best way to learn how government works is to roll up your sleeves and start engaging with it, start problem solving. And so we have a curriculum and teacher professional development for middle schoolers and high schoolers to really get engaged. And I look forward to talking more about that and how I think SEL is an essential both stepping stone and component of effective civic learning. So incredibly excited to be here today.
Fantastic, Elizabeth. We are so excited to have you here talking about civic development, skills for community. I'm going to move over to Dr. Maurice Elias from Rutgers SECD Lab. Dr. Elias, can you introduce yourself and tell us why you're excited about SEL Day 2026?
Absolutely. So I'm here primarily as the board president of SEL for US, the Social Emotional Learning Alliance for the United States, which is group of 24 states that work together as a network to promote social emotional learning on the ground in schools. And this day is a culmination of work done by all those states and so many people literally working since SEL Day 2025. And we're excited to see the fruits of this day in the SEL Day Summit webinars and other events.
Thank you, Dr. Elias. Very excited to have you here today. And from Colombia, do we have a student? Juan, tell us a little about what you're doing and why you're excited about SEL Day 2026.
Okay, hello, good morning all. My name is Juan Aristizábal. At this moment, I'm studying visual communication design, and SEL learning has been part of my life since like 2020s or so. My school start using this process and this model to introduce us to this world of the amazing empathy and compassion, like being in the position of others, learning how you can control yourself. And this will help me a lot in the future. And at this moment at the university, that is a little bit difficult, but I'm so excited to be here today and share with us everything. So
Juan,
thank you so much.
We're so excited to have you coming in. Now, what time is it over in Colombia?
Here it is like 9 a.m.
9 a.m. It's 9 a.m. here in New York City, so we are all synced up. Thank you for being in. I'm going to move over to our last panelist, João, coming in from Brazil.
Yes, from Brazil. Oh, nice to meet you. I'm very excited to be here. I'm part of Gaia Mais, or Gaia Plus in English. I live in Brazil. We are an NGO for education based on compassion. So we have programs with vulnerable kids, with teachers, with the LGBT community, and SEL learning, and also compassion is a base for everything that we do here in our NGO. And I'm very excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you, João, and stay on because I'm going to ask you the first question. Just as a reminder, my name is David Adams, Chief Executive Officer at the Urban Assembly. We are co-sponsor and co-founder of SEL Day 2026 and really SEL Days up until now. But let's talk about, João, your work around compassion. I heard you say that you've been focused on compassion, and this year our SEL Day theme is skills for career and skills for community. How do you connect ideas like compassion to that theme?
Great. We are in a world that is changing so much because of the AI mainly, and we don't know what's going to happen in the jobs in the future. We don't know what skills we are going to have jobs in the future. But I'm sure that the social and emotional skills are very needed, are essential for everyone. So I think in the world that we have today, there is very it's a lot of it's polarized with some wars in the world. I truly believe that we need to have compassion. Otherwise, I don't know where we are gonna go. So for the jobs, for the life of the people, for everyone to have a meaningful life, I think is essential for us to have compassion. Here in Gaia, we have the NGO for education, but we also have an NGO which is focused on the capital markets, the financial markets.
Wow.
And we also use the compassion as a base for everything that we do. Because even in the financial markets, we need to have compassion. Otherwise, we are going to finance something that is against what we believe. We are going to finance something that is against the world that we need to live. So when you have compassion in our attitudes toward others, to our colleagues, the people that we know, the people that we don't know, and when we have compassion for the future generations also, then we are going to take care of the attitudes that we have right now and the investments that we are going to have right now. So this is what I think it's so important to have this social and emotional skills, and compassion for us is the base of everything.
João, I'm going to move it over to Elizabeth because you talked about this notion of polarization. Elizabeth, you might know a little bit about polarization. João talked about social emotional skills, polarization, compassion. How is this resonating with you in the work that you do over in Generation Citizen?
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. And you know, it is true. We do know something about how polarization shows up, not only in classrooms, but school boards, and how it's showing up across our country. And our young people are paying attention. You know, one thing I like to say as someone who is a champion for civics education is not that we are suffering from a lack of civics education in America. Civics education is all around. Young people are absorbing and observing everything that is taking place. But often what they're seeing demonstrates some of the worst of polarization and negativity as it pertains to the public square. And so why I think our approach to community-based civics, and with SEL woven very much in, is so foundational, is that a healthy community needs to be grounded in mutual respect, right? And for us to do effective community problem solving, whether we're two neighbors discussing the placement of a fence, whether we are two groups of students talking about whether or not we should do one activity at the assembly or another activity, or whether or not we're two members of Congress from different parties, we need to have effective communication skills. We need to be able to listen and find places of mutual interest so that we can take next steps. And those skills around ethical decision-making, analysis, and kind and compassionate communication are frankly essential at every age and every stage of belonging to a community. We know for students, they begin belonging to a community as soon as they hit that kindergarten mat. And those skills develop all the way through their elementary school and their secondary school education and beyond. And so it's really our point of view that young people are not just citizens in waiting who only should learn and read books about participating in government and only begin to actually do so once they turn 18 and have reached the age they can vote, but instead that developing these skills and beginning to practice that democracy is about we and not just me is the effective foundation for us to move beyond the current level of polarization that we currently have in our society and actually solve community problems that make a real difference in the lives of Americans and folks in communities around the world.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I want to bring this talk to Dr. Elias. I heard Elizabeth talking about belonging to a community. I heard her talk about ethical decision-making. I heard her say that the same skills to decide where to put a fence are the same skills where Congress needs to use in order to decide who we want to be in our communities and how. I know you've done a lot of work around not just social and emotional learning, but character development. Dr. Elias, how do you understand this notion of skills for community, and how have you lived those skills out in your own work?
Well, it's so important to think of this year's theme as not just this year's theme, because what we're really doing is preparing our students for meaningful participation in all aspects of society, workplace, family, civic life. And, you know, academic skills are important, necessary, but you also have to make sure kids can read people, can read situations, can read contexts. And this has to be something that is available to every child. Every single child needs to be able to have these skills, because without that, we don't get skills for meaningful participation. But also, we also want to make sure that we are oriented towards social justice, that this is where the character piece comes in. We need to have more conversations about common ground. We need to make sure that our classrooms and our schools stand for positive values that enable us to come together, work together, be productive. So we look at social, emotional, and character development as a unity, kind of as SEL 2.0, and as necessary as we go forward into a complex future, so to get as many children participating in that future as possible.
And thank you, Dr. Elias. Juan, I want to bring it over to you. I hear people talking about students. I hear people talking about children. I hear people talking about the future of our country, the future of our world. But you're right here, right? We're talking about you. So let me bring you on stage. How do you see this notion of social and emotional skills helping you solve problems in your own life from the mouth directly of Juan himself?
Okay, I've been using like these skills I have learned with the SEL learning model. At the university, it has been a little bit difficult because at the beginning, I have to move to another city and I have not with my family at this moment, and I have lived with them all my life.
Yeah.
And I think that SEL learning has a lot of skills and useful things that, for example, I have to be calm. I can call them at this moment. And every weekend I go there and see them. And this helps me a lot.
That's you're being a good son, Juan. My mother, I visit her every weekend too. She calls me a dutiful son.
Amazing. I love it. And I don't know, like at this moment, I love learn about that and have empathic skills with others. And at the university, I have known similar cases about it. And there are a lot of people that cannot go to visit their own family at the weekends because they are like so far.
Yeah.
But using the SEL learning skills at the university, like at time of doing homeworks or at dispositions, it has helped me a lot. And I'm very grateful with it. And I'm so happy to be here and share with you like these kind of things. And for example, one thing that I normally do is that on Wednesday, I go to a meditation sessions of the university. And there I have met a lot of people, are really good people that in this moment I call them like one of my best friends. And the teacher, like at the beginning, we read like a reflection, and the reflection is very related to the learning skills. And this helped me to remind how these useful things I have learned in my life, in my school life specifically, has helped me to be the person I'm at this moment. So that's it, I think.
Well, I think you're a great person, Juan, and I'm excited to hear about how not only did you communicate, build relationships, but maintained relationships and being inspired by some of those concepts of social emotional learning. Dr. Elias, I want to go back to you because as I hear Juan talk about being in relationship with his parents, being in a relationship with folks in his school, I'm struck by a lot of the research around social isolation and how social isolation has increased. And so I want to think about this idea of skills for community, but also our ability to be in community with each other in order to reduce some of that social isolation. What do you think social emotional learning what role does social emotional learning have to play in terms of social isolation?
Well, let me talk in terms of one element that is Juan's professional focus, visual communication. One reason that people are isolated is because they are not comfortable communicating with other people. And one of the takes that we have now is the importance for kids to learn audience-focused communication. In other words, no matter how smart I am, I've got to communicate what I know to other people. In order to do that, I need to be thinking about their situation, their context, their time constraints, my time constraints. Audience-focused communication is one sort of meta skill area that is a way to break out of social isolation and break into community. Audience-focused communication, kids don't recognize this until we share with them, includes things like when I raise my hand to talk in school, who's my audience? I've got teachers, I've got peers. What am I going to say? How do I want to come across? How do I look sitting at my desk? How do I look when I walk into the building, depending on what I wear? We are constantly communicating with other people. And being focused on what our communication means for other people is an important meta skill that is so critical now. And visual communication, which is ubiquitous in this world of screens, is a big part of that.
Thank you, Dr. Elias. Elizabeth, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I so appreciated what Dr. Elias just said, and what feels to me like an important bridge or something we think about when we talk to students is that they have agency, right? In all of those circumstances that you just named about how they are seen by others. And as we think about how they're showing up as budding community members and leaders, it is they have agency, and that the steps they take, the actions they take can influence the environment around them and can influence how people see them. I think the other piece that, I've been thinking about, belonging and effective engagement in social environments is so central in not only the era of screens that we're in, but also the post-COVID era, where we're still navigating and having children and teenagers who have had less in-person engagement with peers. And that is a part of their lived experience and a part of the experience that schools need to proactively overcome. And it is especially important that we double down and triple down on investment in social emotional learning in ways that are not to the side of what's happening in students' academic and extracurricular lives, but woven in so that it reaches all students, and that so that students develop, as Juan described so beautifully, the skills and tools of resilience, so that wherever you find yourself, whether that's in your dorm room or in the classroom, that you have the tools to make sure that you are able to engage most fully, engage with a sense of belonging, and move forward and communicate in a way where you feel pleased with the way others have heard you.
And Generation Citizens does that beautifully in terms of how you think about building community. One of the things I learned from Elizabeth is that citizens don't become citizens when they're 18. They're citizens from the day they're born. And we need to be able to participate in order to practice that citizenship. João, I want to turn it over to you. I think I heard you say that you wanted the financial markets to be compassionate. I don't know that that is two words that I would put together for any given Monday. Can you tell us a little bit more about compassionate financial markets? Did I get that right?
Yes, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to. For instance, today we are going to raise money for a cooperative of family farmers, which is part of the largest social movement in the world, which is called MST, the Landless People who live in Brazil. And they have some cooperatives, and they produce food, agroecology food, organic food. So when for instance, today at night, we are going to launch this investment. So everyone here in the country is going to be able to invest starting at around $200 in this cooperative. And then they're going to have an interest.
Is this like a stock market though? Did I get that?
Kind of, yeah, because it's a fixed income. So we are going to lend money to this cooperative. So you can put money in a bank, and this bank can finance guns, can finance bombs, can finance chemicals. But also in our case, we understood that what we do with our money matters. So when we finance something that's gonna go, in this case, we are gonna generate income for low-income people. We are gonna generate food, organic food. So and so in this case, this kind of cooperative, and many times they don't have access to the big banks. So because they're linked to a social movement, because they are, many of them are usually black people, and we are a country that many times are racist. So in this case, we open to everyone to invest on it. So when we understand that what we do with our money matters, and we can we can invest our money in a compassionate way, everything changes. Because unfortunately, what drives the world is the money. So all of these wars and everything, it's the money. They are looking for money and power. But and in many times they use our money against the things that we believe, that the word that we believe. So when we open this kind of option, it's incredible. So this is what we are creating here in Brazil, and it's very successful, really.
That's amazing.
And we are not linked to any any bank, any brokerage firm. So it's something very directly between the cooperative and the investors.
I'm gonna take this back to Dr. Elias for a second, because you talked about SEL 2.0. João talks about investing money in things we care about. Elizabeth talks about values. Juan talks about who he wants to be in community with his parents and with his other students. I'm hearing not just a skill conversation, but something a little bit deeper underlying that. Dr. Elias, you want to just elevate some of that to the surface for us?
One of the things that we know for sure, increasingly through research, but just because we know it, is that people want to matter. People want to feel as if they're significant. People want to feel as if they're making a positive contribution to the world and life around them. They want to have what we refer to as a positive purpose. And we, I think, are sometimes too quick to try to fix children and too slow to want to inspire children. And if we have conversations with children about sources of inspiration and help them begin to see their positive purpose, we then increase the likelihood that they're going to want to build their academic and social skills. Because if I don't see a future for myself, if I don't see a pathway, why would I want to engage in the difficult chore of learning? So this I think is what we mean by elevating the broader notion of character. It's the concept of positive purpose and the fact that every one of us wants to matter and have significance. Sadly, that drive is so important that when I don't have a positive pathway to do that, I'll take a negative pathway, which is why the climate of our schools and classrooms becomes so important, so that there's not a draw toward a negative peer group and negative expression of purpose. We have to remember, kids are oriented toward positive purpose. If we give them the path, they will take that path. If we give them no path, they will take a negative path. But they won't remain without a sense of purpose.
That's so deep. I think I remember reading an article where kids like talked about what they wanted to be and their purpose, and most kids thought that other kids were more negative than they were. And when they actually read what other people were saying, most folks were like, hey, I want to do something, I want to be great. And narratively, a lot of the kids thought like they were the only ones who were positively like organized. But in fact, most kids really wanted to do good things in the world. It's just that the narrative is kind of shifted by maybe one or two examples that captures people's imagination.
Let me give you a quick example of this. I work with
Elizabeth.
I work with a school where they gave all the kids a tile, like a 4x4 tile, and asked them to draw on the tile what they wanted to become. And kids drew firemen and police officers and doctors and lawyers. One kid drew a dog. The child study team and the professionals were worried about this kid. Why would this kid want to be a dog? Finally, it occurred to someone to ask the child, why did you draw a dog? And the kid said, well, I want to be a dog because everybody loves dogs. Everybody treats dogs kindly. Nobody yells at dogs. And so it just shows you how deep this need for compassion, acceptance, warmth is among everyone, starting with an early age.
Elizabeth, you want to get in there? Thank you, Dr. Elias.
I did because, the discussion you're having makes me think about some incredible students that we worked with from Urban Assembly in Brooklyn, New York. And it's such an example of both young people wanting to matter, wanting to make a positive difference, even when there are institutional constraints or ways in which they have felt marginalized by institutions. And so we saw this with some incredible Urban Assembly students in Brooklyn, New York, who, and this was about 5 or 6 years ago, were experiencing some of the same challenges around a feeling of disrespect, feeling of loss of dignity from their relationship with local police. Now, these are the same issues that have been at the forefront of some of our own nation's challenges around police community relations for generations. But these students were not only thinking about how do I raise my voice, but also thinking about how do I solve a problem. And they developed their project through their Generation Citizen classroom about strengthening the relationship between students and local police so that they would not be over-policed or feel discriminated against as they made their way from school to home and in each afternoon, wanting to be able to spend time with their friends, but also not wanting to face what they experienced as really consistent questioning and sometimes even stopping and frisking them that was showing up. Now, they're not alone. And in fact, Dr. Elias, as you described the way in which a lot of young people want to matter, well, sometimes if they're feeling a sense of oppression or discrimination, wanting to matter can show up in ways that actually end up being really dangerous for them. These young women, they were a group of young women, they did the opposite. They said, how can we come together? How can we do participatory action research to understand the experience not only of us, but other young women in Brooklyn? And then how can we present this in a way that has not only the NYPD, the police department, but also elected officials hearing and respecting us? What that resulted in was strong and powerful partnerships with local organizations that support student safety and student dignity, but also the creation of an annual event between students and local police officers so that they could get to know each other as people. That is, to me, the heart of the intersection between social emotional learning and civic development for young people in a way that's so powerful, so durable, and has positive effects for thousands of other Brooklynites, right? And so when this is really unlocked in powerful ways together, there are positive ripple effects for entire communities.
I really appreciate that, Elizabeth. I actually just went out to that event maybe a month or two ago, and I was certainly inspired. And you're absolutely right. This wasn't just for our kids. It was for all students in that area to build relationships. So those are certainly skills for community. Juan, I'm going to come back to you. So Dr. Elias talked about this notion of positive purpose. We talked about this notion of inspiration. What's inspiring you these days? What gets you motivated? What brings you a sense of purpose in terms of what you do day to day in your life?
Okay. What inspires me every day is like helping others. I think that you must, I don't know, like the feeling of help doesn't, and not thinking about what you receive about it is like the most grateful feeling I think you would have in the future. And the university, they like inspire us doing this because the university has like a social view of the world and always like trying to help and improve everything you would have. And I think that my career that is design, you would help more like in the visual thing. And I think that most of the people has to learn how to use empathic and the visual design is one of the most empathic, like, kind of things that you can do. And I don't know, like, there are many values that you would use at designing. For example, thinking about the people that don't see colors well, or using the typography that most people could read. And I think that
audience-based design, right? Like,
yes,
for your audience. Yeah.
Designing like for everyone, like, okay, we are like a community, not only saying like, oh, there is this group and this group. No, we are a whole community, and we can help each other, like, understanding and being part of it. And like you said, everyone wants to be part of something, and when you design for someone or a person that needs something, at that moment you like, oh, I'm very great and very happy to help others, and being like in a world, like, is more a community and not like each person is a different.
I appreciate that one. Folks, if you're just coming in, we're talking about what it means to belong. And if you're here today, you are belonging to SEL Day 2026. We're very excited to be having this conversation with folks across the world. And I'm going to go over to João. And João, when I go to church, we talk about the good news and spreading the good news. What's the good news you'd like to celebrate around SEL Day? What's something that's getting you inspired? What's the reason you think about your positive purpose? And what do you want to tell our audience about what they can do to create a sense of agency and community on this SEL Day 2026? João from Brazil.
Great, David. Yeah, I want to celebrate two things. The first one is our program, Corações e Mentes LGBT, which is Heart and Mind LGBT, which is our social and emotional program for the community, has been officially recognized as certified social technology by Fundação Banco do Brasil, which is a kind of a recognition for everything that we are doing, and is a kind of a technical recognition that it works. So we are very, very happy with this. And another thing that we'd like to celebrate in this day is that this week we are going to start in Gaia Plus, our 42nd, 43rd, and 44th cohorts for teachers all around the country, in which we are going to impact more than 1,000 teachers in this program that's starting this week, sorry. Today starts the 42nd cohort. So we have achieved more than 27,000 teachers all over the country. So I'm very happy to celebrate these achievements of Gaia.
Fantastic. So you've been recognized as a social technology. You're launching your 42nd, your 43rd, and your 44th cohort. You're going to get about 1,000 teachers to add on to the 27,000 teachers that you have already supported in terms of bringing compassion across Brazil. Did I get that right?
Exactly. We have achieved more than 500,000 students through these teachers. We form teachers, and these teachers impacted more than 500,000 students in the country. And
so it sounds like you have your sense of positive purpose. Nobody has to have a conversation with you, João, about what you're trying
to do. Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you. I'm going to go to Elizabeth. What's your good news around social emotional learning, around the work that you're doing? What are the things that you are proud of, and how do you elevate your sense of positive purpose?
Thanks so much. You know, what I think is that while this is a time of great contestation over what's happening in American schools and American education, there is a lot of enthusiasm and support for civic learning, particularly as America commemorates 250th anniversary since the Declaration of Independence and the American founding. And so this is a period, and really the next 15 years between the 250th of the Declaration of Independence and then the 250th of the Constitution in 2038. This is a period of deep introspection and reflection, but not only being done by adults and community leaders, but by young people. So I'm really celebrating that Generation Citizen has kicked off a few months ago our Future 250 initiative, where we are engaging young people in freedom dreaming about the next 25 years, the next 50 years, even for those whose minds can expand that far, the next 250 years.
Wow.
And I see this as related to social emotional learning because young people deserve not only to be grounded in the current realities of our political environment, right? We're always telling young people, you know, you are our future, but they need the space, the intellectual space, the time in school and in after school settings, and the respect from adults around them to give them the support to just imagine, what do we want our communities to be like? What do I want my neighborhood to be like? What do I want my country and my world to be like? And so we are hosting events with schools, with organizations around the country to support young people's development of civic imagination. I see civic imagination as connecting some of the skills of social emotional development and civic learning.
You know what I love about that, Elizabeth, when we talk about Future 250, every version of society started out with an idea, with somebody imagining what they wanted it to be. And I think sometimes we get complacent. We're like, this is what we live in. But like somebody one day thought we don't have to live like this, or maybe we could live like that. So I think this re-envisioning, this Future 250 of what we want to be, how we want to be in community is inspiring to me. So I'm so excited to hear Generation Citizen is going after that and helping inspire our youth to imagine their role in our society. Over to you, Dr. Elias. What is your good news? What's inspiring you? What's bringing you positive purpose? What do you want to share on this SEL Day?
Yeah, I just want to take us back to 1997. That was when the book, Social and Emotional Learning Guidelines for Educators, was published. And if you go back and look before 1997, you'll hardly see the term social emotional being used anyplace.
Wow.
And if you look after 1997, progressively you see it being used more and more. More people today than ever are recognizing that social emotional competence and character are essential for success in school and life. Even people that don't like the term social emotional learning want their kids to have life skills, skills for success, skills for resilience. We see the term social emotional being used in media in many contexts. If you look at it, you'll see it's coming into common use. So the good news, the great news is we have come, I think, farther than we appreciate. And we can't be discouraged by the politics of what might be going on around social emotional learning. We need to stick to the substance of what we know kids need for success in school and life.
Dr. Elias, you just reflected on this notion that, and you were one of the founders of this idea of social and emotional learning. And in 1997, the concept, the idea, back to Elizabeth's point, it didn't exist. And you all imagined what the world would look like if young people had these skills. Can you just tell me a little bit more about what that imagination was? What was the 1997 imagination of a world where all young people have the opportunity to develop social and emotional skills?
Well, the 1997 imagination, honestly, was a little bit limited because we thought about the importance of these skills in the abstract. We didn't think about the importance of these skills to do certain things. And that's why when CASEL was first developed, it was called the Collaborative for the Advancement of Social Emotional Learning. It changed its name to the Collaborative for Academic Social Emotional Learning because we recognize the fact that these skills are not just skills, but they're skills to help you reach your valued purpose. So they're skills for academic learning, they're skills for artistic accomplishment, they're skills for civic achievement, they're skills for social justice. And I think that's what developed since 1997 was the understanding that these skills are embedded in what it is we want to do. And so if we build the skills, we build our capacity to accomplish our most valued and cherished outcomes.
I love that. João, I want to come back to you, and I want to think about valued and cherished outcomes. You centered your work around compassion. How do you see the world changing if we elevate compassion as a valued and cherished outcome for our society?
Yeah, I think it's a kind of it's essential for the future of the humanity, really, for me. Compassion is about humanity, is about connection.
Mm-hmm.
We are not alone. Everyone want to have a meaningful life. Everyone want to have a life that is worth living, and really, without compassion, I think it's kind of impossible to have a meaningful life. Because if you have a selfish life, you're going to lack something. And even for the future of humanity, because if everyone thinks that we are alone, that we don't need others, we are a community. We are here today because we live it together. When you are born, we need others. When you are older, we need others. And always we need others.
Mm-hmm.
I do not produce my food, as I give an example. I need someone that's going to produce the food, carry the food, prepare the food.
You don't have a cow back that you slaughter every 2 weeks or so?
Exactly. So this is what I think compassion is something that is really essential for everyone. And it's the opposite of the individualistic vision of the view or the life. So this is why it's so important to have this SEL day and then to spread this kind of attitude, this positive attitude, which is going to be good for everyone, really.
I appreciate that, João. I'm going to bring you up on Juan as well. I want you to think about valued purpose. And I want you to think about where you've seen people live out their valued purpose in your life and how that's helped you or helped somebody else solve a problem.
Okay, like I think that when you have a purpose in your life, this might help you like, okay, I have like a goal and I have to reach it. But in this case, I think that everyone would have a goal like similar to think about people and think about, okay, I have a community, I have like all these people around me. And if I would help them in some kind of way, I could help them and I can help them in a way. I think that you would like be very grateful and be very happy with you. And thinking about people that inspires me, for example, my mother, she is like a coordinator at school.
Yeah.
And she has a really difficult work, but she's really happy to help like students, and the students that go to that school, they like see them like a mother, like me. And I think like, oh,
You ever get jealous, Juan? You're like, it's my mom.
no, I think that it's very grateful. I'm very happy that they can see like my mother, like a mother for them, because maybe their real mothers doesn't like connect with them. And I think that when you find someone like my mother that you can tell them their problems, like being a helpful people, and I don't know, I think that I'm very grateful and having my mother. She's like my biggest inspiration at this moment. And I would like in the future being like her, like help others like in this kind of way.
That's beautiful. And I hope that your mama has a chance to see this. It's always important. I have a 12 and 13-year-old for your parents to feel like they're doing an okay job. So if I could offer any advice, just let your mom know how much she means to you. And I'm sure that'll make her whole day. Elizabeth, I want to come back to you because you talked about problem solving. And you talked about the example from Brooklyn, the Urban Assembly students, and you said they weren't just advocating, they were problem solving. We talk about skills for community, skills for workforce, skills for community, skills for career. Can you help me understand how problem solving comes to bear when we are trying to build up these skills and for what purpose we are solving problems for in context of civics and community?
Sure. You know, the very beginning of a Generation Citizen community-based civics semester is we're asking, and teachers are asking young people to identify the issues facing them in their community. and not just pulling from the headlines. And that's by design. It is talk about the real issues that you and your friends are talking about and are want to address. And then students are listing out dozens of issues. And as they go through a process of research, root cause analysis, selection of the issue, where they come to consensus on the issue before they begin the process of working to solve it. But the reason it's so important, both that students choose the issue themselves and that it is grounded in their lived experience, is that too often what's happening in our politics is that instead of solving problems, we're trying to change people. Right? Instead of addressing, okay, our concern is a safety issue. Our concern is a transportation issue. Our concern is having access to the health supports we need. What's happening in the larger society is constant blaming, finger pointing, and looking at the past. As we are trying to support students to bridge and develop to first develop a set of analytical skills, critical thinking skills, research skills, right? And then bridge those with, as Dr. Elias talked about, reading people and contexts. It's then thinking about, I'm not just focused on blaming the mayor, right? And saying the mayor hasn't done X, Y, Z. So we're going to go and blame the mayor and tell the mayor why he's done something wrong or she's done something wrong. But instead, we're going to use our power of analysis and research skills and deeper root cause analysis. And we're going to identify, here's what it would look like to solve the problem. So we're not concerned about the political parties involved. We're not even necessarily at the forefront concerned about whether or not leaders have supported this in the past. We're focused first on what is our understanding of the issue, how does it impact us as community members, and what are the solutions we propose. And then from that point of being solutions oriented, we are then identifying, okay, who are the people in government who are appropriately positioned to make a sustainable and durable change on this issue? And how can we present to them in a way that will be compelling based on their own interests and objectives? And that's where they're doing the incredible work of, understanding the budgets in their community. That's when they're looking to see about, okay, is this a new mayor who's coming in and therefore might be more predisposed to wanting to hear from, young voters, for example, young people. And we then, from the perspective of solving the problem, not blaming the people, and having done deep, rigorous analysis that puts them as experts at the table, they are then working to make durable and consistent change in a way that is grounded in wanting their community to be better and stronger.
Solving the problem, not blaming the people. I wrote that down. I might put that on my wall back here. So when I have my staff conversations, we can ground ourselves in a common purpose. João, you talked about social technology and being recognized as a social technology. Is that like Facebook? Is it like a media company? Like what does that mean to have social technology, and what's the role of problem solving in SEL in this notion of social technology?
Great question.
Thank you.
It's not because we used to think of technology as something of technical or gadget and etc. But social technology is a human technology, a technology of connection. And it's a kind of technology that we don't use kind of a computer. It's a technology in a way in which you're going to create connection with, in this case, with the LGBT community. In this case specifically, all of the interactions that we have are personally. So we go to the places to give this kind of training program for the people, to care for the people, to listen for the people. So it's a social technology without the technology that we use to think of technology, social media. No, it's a social technology. It's a very social and human technology, let's say.
I appreciate that. And I'm going to bring Dr. Elias into this. And Maddie, you can start to throw some questions in the chat. We can take some questions from our audience. Dr. Elias, João talked about a social technology that's not material. We don't hold it. What are your thoughts about this notion of problem-solving technologies that apply to the social sector? Because we got engineers, they build stuff, but I think we have social engineers on this call, and I think we're trying to build something as well. But tell me what your thoughts are on that notion. You're on mute, Dr. Elias.
Everybody on this call has outstanding problem-solving skills, or we wouldn't be here. And I think that problem solving is a social technology. And it's a social technology that kids need to learn from early in life. One of the first social emotional learning curricula was I Can Problem Solve from Ernest Shore and George Spivak, which started with preschool children and began to teach them the rudiments of problem solving thinking. For example, the concept of else. Else is such an extraordinary concept because it means that your first idea isn't the only idea. Something else is possible. And when kids start thinking something else is possible from an early age, well, when it comes time to look for solutions to problems that are complex, they're asking themselves, well, what else? What else? Maybe there's something else. Problem solving is one of the most ubiquitous, important skills we can teach our kids. And we need our kids to have a problem solving strategy. And so intentionally ensuring that our kids emerge from K-12 education with a problem solving strategy that they can take with them into civic and community life is one of the greatest gifts we can give kids. And problem solving is a great example of a social technology.
Amazing. Thank you, Dr. Elias. All right, looks like no questions from our audience. So I'm going to ask us all a question from me. And it's about what you'll be doing to celebrate SEL Day for yourself. And I'm going to start with Juan. Juan, what is your SEL Day plan? What are you going to be doing? Are you going to call your mom? What's going on?
Okay, at this moment, I think that first of all, I would go to class. I have a class right now, even right now, but I think that, yes, maybe at the afternoon, I will call to my mother and tell her how amazing this space is and how important it is, like having people like you, like always think in community, in values, in compassion, and how this makes me very happy. Like, okay, there are still people that think in others, that not only think of themselves, but they think of many of the people that are in the world. And I think that with these little steps, we will make a beautiful and great world in the future. And like the doctor said, at a moment, the kids are really important at this moment. And I think that if you introduce them in this world of compassion and empathic, I think that they will have a really good future, and the future will be very happy and likely. So
amazing.
Thank you very much.
All right, Juan, you're going to class. You are also, though, appreciating folks like yourself who remind us that we can build a better future, and it takes each of us to do so. So we see you, we appreciate you, and tell your mom on my behalf that you appreciate her. So thank you for that. João, what are you doing for SEL Day?
Great. In the afternoon, I'm gonna eat a chocolate cake.
Okay. For SEL Day, or just eating chocolate cake because it's Monday?
No, really, it's because it's the birthday of a colleague here in the office. So, but it's another reason to celebrate eating this chocolate cake.
Amazing.
Yeah. But I really feel energized after this conversation. Really, it's I loved it. And we are finalizing the preparation of the next investment, the compassion investment that we are preparing for the people to invest in the small family holders cooperative. So really, I'm very energized. And when I eat the chocolate cake, I'm gonna think in this SEL Day celebration.
Thank you, João. I'd love to think about chocolate cake being a part of everybody's SEL Day celebration, but I am not. So I'm not overly humble as to prescribe people how they want to make that happen. But I think chocolate builds community every single day. But thank you for the work you're doing. Congratulations as being recognized as a social technology. And I hope the work that you do continues to spread compassion across Brazil and the rest of our world. Coming over to you, Elizabeth, what is your SEL Day celebration plan?
Sure. So first we'll talk about how I'll celebrate it as a leader with our team. We have staff calls on Mondays, and actually today's staff call is all about our team culture. So it really is an opportunity to live into and reflect the kind of culture we're creating and how we strengthen a culture of belonging and inclusion on our team and for our success. You know, what I'd also like to do at work is really connect with some of my colleagues who have been taking the lead on our curriculum development and really looking at those intersections with our incredible partners at Urban Assembly and schools across the country, and also exploring new partnerships and seeing whether or not there are other schools that might be interested in really engaging in community-based civics and see that as a powerful way to celebrate SEL Day. And the last is as a parent. You know, my daughter is a sixth grader and she's starting to engage in middle school sports. And, you know, I was talking with her over the weekend about having a growth mindset. She said, you sound like she gave the name of her school counselor who does their SEL programming. And it was a reminder of how important it is for me as a parent to be aware and recognize my daughter's school as a partner in supporting her social emotional development. So I'm excited to go and cheer her on at a race later today and encourage her to continue growing in that sport.
Amazing, Elizabeth. So we're actually in community, Urban Assembly Generation Citizen, working together to think about how we can support each other vis-a-vis community development, civic development, and social and emotional skills. It sounds like you're going back to your daughter and recognizing the role schools play in supporting the social emotional outcomes of our young people. And you're going to get on that team call and put a little skills for community out there, as well as skills for career, because career is a part of our community. Thank you, Elizabeth. Dr. Elias, ending off with you, what is your plan for SEL Day 2026?
Well, my plan is to do a webinar at noon Eastern time as part of the SEL Summit, Brick by Brick, a leader's guide to bringing social emotional competence and character into schools. And I just want to give a shout out to Bill Trusheim of SEL for NJ and the founder of New Jersey Alliance for Social, Emotional, and Character Development, who has really put the most effort into creating the summit, a series of webinars going till I think 6 o'clock this evening, featuring a lot of members from SEL for US. Fabulous webinars, practical, important, grounded. And I think that's going to be a great way to celebrate SEL Day, is to tune into one or more of those.
All right. It sounds like if you didn't know, now you know. There is a full day webinar series coming out from SEL for US, from SEL states across the country, talking about practical applications of social and emotional learning for skills for community, skills for career. Did I get that right, Dr. Elias?
Absolutely.
Well, we are very, very grateful, and I am very, very grateful to have each of you here today. We had folks who are doing national work. We had folks who are doing international work. We had students who are just about to be late to class because they participated. We had folks looking at compassion across the world and across their country. And I'm here to tell you, as the Chief Executive Officer at the Urban Assembly, that this is just the beginning. We've been doing this work for multiple years, as Dr. Elias talked about, 1997, and we've come a long way, and we have a long way to go, but it will happen because of you. Your dedication, your purpose, your passion can make this world a better place. I want to say thank you to our sponsors who have helped put this on today. I want to say thank you to all our panelists, and I want you to join the next panel at the top of the hour. You'll see the link down in the YouTube session below. SEL Day 2027 official kickoff celebration has begun. Skills for community, skills for career. Have a great day.
If this was helpful, would you please comment, like, share, and subscribe? The Emotional Intelligence Network is your community to grow and practice EQ. At 6 Seconds, that means being smarter with feelings. And we're here to provide practical, proven EQ tools so workplaces, schools, and people can thrive everywhere in the world. Be sure to visit 6seconds.org to find the complete suite of resources, assessments, and programs. Thank you for watching.